Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I am here with no other than Kyle Potter, and we are going to be talking about mastering leadership, leverage, and business growth. Kyle has an extensive amount of knowledge inside of this industry, and I'm excited to talk with you, Kyle, about everything that you're doing right now in your business. So without further ado, Kyle, welcome to the show. How about you share a little bit about yourself and ultimately how you got here?
Sure. Thank you so much, Christian. I'm pumped to be here. I absolutely could not wait to hop on and chat with you. My name is Kyle Potter. For those who don't know me, I am the founder, CEO, and head business coach at Statera Success Systems, which is a company that has been the brainchild of me and a few of my close associates now for about 6 months. So still pretty new. But what we do is we're a group of business advisors that love to help skilled entrepreneurs break down barriers, figure out, how to refine their leadership skills. And we think of leadership in 3 domains. So it's not just, your standard unilateral, I'm the boss, you're the employee. We teach our clients leadership is self-leadership first, the work before the work, company leadership, which is how you show up for your company and your coworkers, and then community leadership. What's the greater impact and the legacy that we're leaving behind? So, our mission in the world is to impact 1,000 leaders before we check out here in the next 20, 30 years. And we feel that through the 3 leadership domains, through teaching essential skills such as leverage, delegation, we think that we can make an impact on the business landscape and hopefully over time make an impact on leaders and help them scale their businesses as well.
I love that, Kyle. I love it. I love it. So I know you mentioned leverage, right? So, what are the key ways entrepreneurs can build leverage in their businesses today to create sustainable growth and avoid burnout, right? People get to that point a lot when it comes to burnout. So what's your take on that?
Man, it's funny. That's like, Christian, that's the key reason we started the company right there. I'm sure we'll get into my background at some point, but I had the privilege to work for a really, really talented CEO and entrepreneur in my last position. And I saw the highest of highs. I saw the lowest of lows. And what I want to try and do is help people create sustainable systems and processes, which I always use the metaphor of a house, right? These entrepreneurs can build this amazing, house, but what's missing almost always is the foundation. They start with the beautiful facade and the windows and, the amazing front porch and the French door. Whereas me, I take a little bit more boring approach, but perhaps a more logical approach. And I start from the bottom up. The first thing that we work with our entrepreneurs and our clients is you need to have alignment, right? So number one, the most important thing, in my opinion, for entrepreneurs to build a scalable company or system is to make sure that there's alignment between your personal values and your company values so that over time, you understand that you've built a company that not just now, but in the future will be in alignment with where you want to go. And in my opinion, that's how you build a company that you don't grow to resent over time, right?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
From there, once we build that alignment and we make sure that everything makes sense, the next phase of that foundation is systems and processes. So what we like to do is start with what I call the dad strategy. And this is where we get into leverage. So what I have every entrepreneur do is they write all the tasks from A to Z that they complete over a 2-week period, almost like a time audit. I'm sure a lot of folks have heard of that. And then we take that list, and the first thing we do, DAD, the first thing we do is delete. So we look at the task list and we say, what is redundant? What doesn't belong? What's just something we don't need to be doing anymore? And a lot of times these entrepreneurs carry dogma. They're just doing things the way they do it because it's the way they've always done them, not necessarily the optimal way. So we delete any tasks that we possibly can. A is automate. Whatever's left on the task list after we delete, we see what can we automate, whether it's through technology, whether it's through a very basic written out process like a flow chart. What can we automate to free up bandwidth so we don't have to consciously be aware of everything in our world, right? Let's use technology to our benefit. And the third letter here, the last D, is delegate. Whatever is left on that task list, we work into 4 quadrants. The bottom right quadrant is work that they do not like and that they do not consider themselves good at. And the top left quadrant, the exact opposite, is work that they absolutely love and they derive a lot of joy from. And then the other 2 quadrants are sort of in between those 2 extremes. And what I help them do over time is figure out how can we delegate the bottom 2 quadrants and how can we fill your calendar with as many items from the top 2 quadrants as possible. So step 2, through systemizing, building processes, automating, delegating, we free that entrepreneur up now to go and work in their genius, right? In their highest and best zone, the $5,000 to $1,000 an hour type tasks, and leave the other stuff that they've been doing behind, because as we all know, what got you here is not going to be what gets you there.
I love that, Kyle. That's amazing. It sounds like you just have such an extensive amount of experience in this. I'm curious, where did that come from? I mean, obviously, you were a director of sales, at your previous company. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Where did you build these skills? Did you have a mentor? Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. I recently did a podcast. Well, we're starting to get our podcast up and running here. And I was talking to one of my very good friends about the value of a good mentor. And not only the value of having a good mentor, but the value of having people to pour into and mentees in your corner. So I've been very fortunate enough to have an incredible pool of both. In my time, I've been in sales now for about 15 years. I've been in leadership about 10. I've been in coaching about 3. And the entire time, along the way, I had really strong mentors. And a lot of that was luck. Some of that was me, knowing when to capitalize on opportunities. But as the story goes, I sort of cut my teeth in the car business. I came up at a pre-owned car dealership. And it's true, there's a lot of bad apples in that business. I was very fortunate to get a good one by the name of Jason Vizella, and he sort of taught me the ropes, with sales originally, the original sales process that I've since modified, but the core fundamentals that I believe in is make a friend, find a need, provide a solution. And Jason's sort of the one that taught me that. Was in the car business for about 6 or 8 years, somewhere in that range, and just ran out of energy. I had a young son at the time, young family, and I said, hey, I'm ready for a little bit less work. I did the exact wrong thing and got into real estate, which I found out very quickly was a lot more work. Oh, yeah. Did not have nearly as much success as what I was hoping as a real estate agent. Sort of fumbled my way around for a year or two and met Eric Brewer at Integrity First Home Buyers, where he was, very gracious and offered me an opportunity to join their leadership team. So rare opportunity came along where I was able to slot in right away, and I oversaw their lead management department and learned a lot. Joe Cipollini over there, Ben Montlocker, Travis Scott, Eric, many others in the company were able to give me the platform really to take, all these books that you see behind me here and 15 years of learning and leading and communicating. And it was like my test lab. I got to sort of try and see what works and experiment.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And over time, we built one of the most successful lead management departments, in my opinion, in all of the real estate investment space. Very proud of what we did there. And over the course of 2 years, worked my way up to the director of sales operations, where, again, I had an opportunity to say, okay, let's apply those same principles on a larger scale. I ran the entire sales funnel from lead management to dispositions, roughly 5 departments with about 30 direct reports. And what I did was exactly what I talked about. I ran what I didn't know was the dad strategy at the time, but I decided what's my highest and best use, what tasks don't belong, what can I automate, and then ultimately, how can I delegate? And through that journey, I built a team of junior leaders to oversee each department. And I was able to live in my highest and best use as, chief strategist and discernment guy. And I was able to coach and train and build the systems so that everyone can be successful and our goals were viable. So to answer your original question, it's all about having great mentors. And along the way, I picked up a bunch of great mentees as well. As I'm sure many of your listeners have heard, the best way to learn is through teaching. So having this opportunity to pour into others really gave me a lot of energy. And that's where I fell in love with coaching. And that's sort of how we arrived here today with our business advisor company, where we serve as advisors to some of the top entrepreneurs in the real estate investment space, teaching them how to find balance, build leverage, and ultimately build their ideal lifestyle.
That's awesome, man. I can definitely feel like you have nothing but passion inside of this business, and I can definitely
Love it.
100% feel that. And I appreciate that. We need more of that, Kyle. It's people like you that are really trying to change the landscape of this, right? People need authentic coaches, people that have the experience, have been there and done that, and they can obviously provide the solutions to speed up their learning curve, right? Because you've made the mistakes, you've done the grind for so long, you can help people not make as many mistakes when they're first starting, right? And you correct that. So that's awesome.
It's a
So
fantastic point.
what are some of the biggest operational inefficiencies you see in business today, right? You had a lot of experience. What
Mhm.
steps can entrepreneurs take to streamline their systems to maximize, productivity?
Yeah, it's tough. What we found is most entrepreneurs are like on the disc, profile, the high D, the high I, they're go-getters, they're driven, they love communicating, and that's great, to get a business rolling, like startup phase to couple million revenue, depending upon the product offering, you can have a lot of success. But then once you get to a point where you're spinning a lot of plates, you can't manage it all on your own. So what I see, number one, is entrepreneurs living in that if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself mindset. So my first piece of advice to every entrepreneur that we work with is how can we bring in support? How can we get access to another brain and give you more bandwidth? And that's where an EA or a VA or any sort of assistant is like the first piece of leverage that we always recommend them to establish. And from there, immediately all that detail work that entrepreneurs absolutely hate, you get an EA in there that's your high C, your high S, the people that absolutely love building systems and want that work. They get a lot of joy from it. Spoiler alert, that's me, the big old nerd in the background building your flowcharts and your CRM out. That's what you need. And this is like the number one mistake I see most entrepreneurs make is they feel like they have to do it on their own.
I see that. Right, right. You're not alone, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is to where if you do want to get to that point to where you do want to scale, it's literally vital, and there's no other option but to hire an expert that's been there and done that, right? So I mean, I'm curious to know, like, what are the most important factors you consider, and this kind of goes similar to what we were just talking about When growing a
Mhm.
business without sacrificing, the quality and culture, what are the most important factors there?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Man, it's funny. When I talk with entrepreneurs about the impact of these systems and processes, a lot of pushback I get is it going to deaden that like family environment that I have? Man, we've never had a CRM. We work off Excel sheets and we always talk with each other. Is bringing a CRM in that automates tasks and sends emails for us, is that going to change the culture? And it's counterintuitive. But no, because if we do it right and we free that entrepreneur up to be the cultural leader and the chief cheerleader, and it's almost like the chief people officer, they actually get a lot of joy, most of them, from pouring into their people and leading the vision and speaking those things into existence. So what we do with those systems and processes is actually the opposite. We liven the culture. We increase the feeling of the family environment, because now instead of everyone low key feeling stressed out, but we haven't created a safe space for them to be vulnerable enough to admit it, now they don't have that generalized anxiety anymore, because they know everyone has clear responsibilities. Everyone understands their role in the machine. We have systems, processes, metrics, data that make our goals viable. And then we have a great leadership team that holds them accountable. It actually makes everyone feel more safe and increases, the value and the impact of that culture over time.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. So circling on that too, leadership. That's what it always comes back to, right? You obviously
Mhm.
possess that leadership, and I know everyone on your team does as well. But what type of qualities separate a great leader, right, from an average one? And how can business owners just really develop their leadership skills to inspire, empower their current teams that they're on right now?
Man, fantastic question. And it's where it all starts and ends. To be completely honest, leadership is an overused term. In my opinion, it's a very misunderstood
Mhm.
concept. I would say this is, if anything, what I consider, our team to be an expert in, is helping people understand, number one, what is leadership? And number two, how can we build those muscles over time? Because if we've been doing it the wrong way for long enough, some of those key muscles may have atrophied, right? If you think about in the gym, you're not working out your arms, guess what happens? You get weaker, your biceps shrink, right? That happens in leadership as well. That happens in communication. It happens with humility. It happens with authenticity. So to answer your question, we need someone that is driven,
Mm.
is willing to change, and is willing to be vulnerable enough to jump into the deep end, whether it's with us or another coach, and do that work before the work. What makes a great leader, Christian, is somebody that is willing to work on themselves first. Phase one, the first domain of leadership is self leadership. How can we work on our internal validation? How can we become proud of the work that we're doing genuinely without needing other people telling us we're doing a great job? How can we wake up and feel a high sense of self-worth? How do we know that we're making an impact? What's our purpose? That is the single, I would say, the most common limiting belief with a lot of our entrepreneurs that we work with, is that I can just show up because I know what I'm talking about, and people are going to follow me because I know what I'm talking about. In John Maxwell's amazing book, Five Levels of Leadership, he describes level one, as positional leadership. That's where a lot of people, especially in real estate, because there's so much dogma, they sit in level one. They've been doing it for long enough. They have the position. People just follow them because they sort of have to. Really, where we want to get these entrepreneurs to, or these leaders to, is level two, which is permissional leadership, where you've created a space that people know that you care about them. You've been willing to be vulnerable, transparent, authentic, honest, and we've encouraged the team to do the same. So in my opinion, that's what makes a good leader: somebody that's willing to be authentic, somebody that's willing to be vulnerable, somebody that's willing to be transparent.
I could not agree anymore, man. I mean, the person has to do the inner work, right? You can have all the systems, the operations, the revenue, but if you're not doing the inner work, right, and your relationships aren't where they need to be, if there's your habits, your routines, and obviously your discipline is not at the highest level, you're not going to fully maximize what you're looking to get, right? It's just not going to work, right? So,
Yeah, and the ceiling's a lot lower
yeah,
ultimately. Those people, if they're skilled, they will have some level of success, which unfortunately creates this like false positive feedback loop where they're like, see, I don't need other people. I can do it on my own. But in order to lead with and through other people, you need to learn how to communicate. And communication starts with trust. Well,
yeah,
guess how we build trust? We show up as vulnerable, authentic,
that's it.
open, honest human beings. And that's like the miss, the biggest miss that I see. And you're exactly right. Like you need the systems, you need the operations. Again, self-professed nerd here. I love helping entrepreneurs build out their operations behind the scenes. But before we earn the right to talk about and master King KPI, and before we earn the right to talk about measurables or install EOS and like high five that we have this really cool, 90 dashboard build out, we need to make sure that our success can be sustainable and that we're not going to sacrifice our own abilities when things get tough, because at the end of the day, when crap hits the fan, if you haven't done that work before the work, we're going to default back to our very worst way of
Amen.
being, and that's just where I see a lot of entrepreneurs break down ultimately.
Oh, I could not agree more, man. Kyle, you and I were talking, you had a crazy goal, and I know you're going to hit it, but you were talking about you've got a bold goal, man, of developing 200 new leaders by 2054. I'm curious, that number 2054, where is that
Mhm.
stemming from? What inspired this mission, and how are you going to make this a reality?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. It's something that my team and I are very passionate about. We've since upped the goal to 1,000.
Oh,
So as lofty as 200 seemed, we now behind closed doors. I probably need to update my bio, but we want to impact 1,000 leaders before we close up shop, right? And
wow.
in my opinion, I'm in my mid 30s. I figured another 30 years, the company probably is going to no longer at least have my involvement. So for me, I just figured 30 years, a nice round number, 1,000 leaders, 1,000 entrepreneurs, whether it's developing them, whether it's creating them, whether it's coaching them. We just want to make an impact on 1,000 leaders. And really what I want to do is teach other leaders how to make impact on other leaders.
Mm,
Another concept that John Maxwell talks a lot about is the true mark and the true sign of a leader. In fact, it's level 5, which is the pinnacle level of leadership, is our ability to pour into others so that they then go on to create other leaders. And what you actually end up doing is creating an exponential impact, right? Like the dominoes fall, and down the line, that's really where this amazing, I always think of it in terms like a coaching tree in the NFL, right? Like you
yeah,
have these amazing coaches that spawn other great coaches like Sean McVay,
yeah,
so on and so forth. They go on and create other coaches. For me, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work with really cool people, do really cool things, teach them some really cool skills, so they go on to do things that inspire other people to do the same. So I love that you brought that up. For me, I just think that our communities, our companies would really benefit and thrive if there was an abundance of good leaders, which I have just noticed in the marketplace. There is certainly not an abundance of it. It's sort of like scarcity right now out there, scarcity city, in terms of good leaders. There's a lot of people that wear the hat, not a lot of people that have earned the right.
100%. Oh my gosh, I could not believe any more in that. That is so, so true. So that leads me to ask you the question, Kyle. Like, how do you know if someone actually can be an entrepreneur, right? Does everybody have that opportunity and capability to be an entrepreneur?
It's something that if you would have asked me a year ago, even
Mhm.
probably definitely 18 months, maybe even a year, uh, do you think that I would go and start my own company? At the time I was making well into the 6 figures. I ran 5 departments, had helped Eric's team grow, by all like quantitative and qualitative measures. I was doing a really good job. I didn't leave because there was any strife. I actually left to start my own business because of the work that I was putting in with my coach. I am on the same journey that our entrepreneurs and our clients are on as well. I was once upon a time a turd, and I knew none of this stuff, and I had to grow my skill set over time, and it's still growing. So for me, I would say that absolutely did not consider myself an entrepreneur a year, 18 months ago, because I am more introverted. While I can put the mask on, I've learned how to do it over almost 2 decades now. It takes a lot of energy from me, to talk to people and to network. Recently, I spoke on the main stage at CG in front of several hundred people, Collective Genius, which is another mastermind. And while I love being up there on stage and delivering my keynote, man, it wrecked me for like 2 or 3 days after it. It took me forever to charge my batteries back up. So because of that, I always said, hey, I don't know that I can do this. I don't know that I can go out and be part of these masterminds and go to these networking events. And that was a limiting belief that I had in my head until I worked through it with my coach. And I figured out, what was holding me back, journaled on it, figured out what's important to me, figured out what my ideal lifestyle is. All these exercises that we run our clients through, I went through on my own and figured out, hey, man, I do have it in me to be an entrepreneur. I probably won't do it the same way that, Eric Brewer or, any of the big time real estate guys do it. Many of my clients who are the consummate, outgoing entrepreneurs. But there's a way for me to be successful too. And that's where I really developed this dad strategy and some of the core principles and philosophies that we teach our clients is how you as an introverted person, can use storytelling and delegation and leverage and deep thought and working with a coach and outsourcing some of that, sales and marketing, and really focusing on what you're good at, which is, the operations, the fulfillment, the impact that you can make, with your clients or with your employees. So for me, I think at this stage, Christian, I'm probably leaning more towards people have more entrepreneurial potential than what they give themselves credit for. But you have to really search deep inside to figure out how you can attack, that entrepreneurial world, because the way you do it probably isn't going to be the same as everybody else.
Yeah. I love that, Kyle. I love that. So I'm gonna save one more question for you. If you could go and
Mhm.
talk to your 10-year-old self right now, what advice and what would you tell that 10-year-old self version of Kyle Potter?
Man, it's really easy for me because this is exactly what I've journaled on many times and talked with my coach about. But I would tell him that the only person that needs to be proud of him is himself.
I love that. Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's the only person that can determine whether or not the work he's doing is valuable and gives him joy and makes an impact. I think I spent far too long, and this is a very common theme with a lot of entrepreneurs and high performing people. I spent a lot of time, far too long, worrying about what other people thought. And I was using other people's success as a measuring stick for my own. And ultimately, what that led me to do, even in light of being very successful very early on in life, I never really felt fulfilled. I wasn't able to get joy from it. I constantly felt like I was underperforming. Certainly, dealt with imposter syndrome several times in my life. And through this work with my coach, a lot of deep thought, very painful conversations, I was able to realize, like, man, I'm good at what I do, and it's okay, and I'm allowed to say that. You know what I mean? I'm allowed to be proud of myself and give myself a pat on the back. And once that switch flipped for me, man, it's been an incredible ride, and I highly encourage anybody listening, get yourself a great coach, get yourself somebody in your corner that can help you do this kind of work, so that you can remove that ceiling that you will inevitably hit if you don't go through this process of doing the work before the
I
work.
love that, Kyle. And I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, I have too have faced that too, right? We're thinking you can do it on your own, right? Thinking that like, is this for me? Can I really do this? Am I qualified? Am I
Yeah,
qualified? I don't have the
100%.
experience. I don't have the accolades. I don't have the trophies. I don't have a mentor. But the biggest thing that you need to do is raise your hand and sometimes say, I need some help here, right? And I can
Yeah.
appreciate people like yourself that have that authenticity and really have that passion inside to really help people from the core, right? Because we just need more of that. And I know people that are listening to this, they have the struggles as well. And I think as, any entrepreneur, it's never really just going to go away. You just have to learn to deal with it better and manage it, right? And build better systems, build better
Yeah.
networks, build yourself to where you can be at the highest level, just like you've been saying this entire time. So, yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. it's almost like climbing a ladder, right? And you can't get to step 2 until you go to step 1. Certainly can't get to step 30 and, you know, be a multimillionaire until you get to step 3. So for me, it's not rushing, it's slowing down. It's being willing to look in the mirror and be critical in a positive way. And there's always two sides of that coin. It's like, woe is me, I suck, you know, this is not great. I have so many things to work on. Or the other side of the coin is, dang, look how much I've achieved, even though I have these limiting factors. Imagine how good I'll be once I make progress, you know, in these domains here or in these skill sets. So for me, it's always been a glass half full. It's just controlling what you can control, which is all we can do at the end of the day. We don't control what happens to us, just the story that we tell ourselves and how we react to them. So, and I love what you said there. I think for me, it's the biggest lesson I've learned, and the lesson I try and bring to all my clients is, we're not even going to talk about your calendar and leverage and all that until we make sure that you are good. How are you feeling? What's going through your mind? What limiting beliefs are holding you back? Because ultimately they're going to pop up. They're going to pop up and hold you back. So we might as well flush it out now.
I love that, Kyle. You know, it seems like, you know, the relationships that you build with your clients, it's more personal, right? And that's the way it needs to be, not focusing on transactional aspect sides of things. So Kyle, I wish we had another hour, man, to really talk about this, because I feel like we could do it. I know 100% we could do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't, man. But I kind of just want to throw this back to you, right? I mean, obviously, I know people have already gained so much value from this podcast so far, if they're listening. So if anyone wants to learn more about you and how they can work with you, where should they go?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to share, you know, my story and what we do. I had a lot of fun chatting with you as well. And if people want to learn more and see how we could certainly, you know, help them expand their skill set, maybe break through those ceilings that they're encountering in their business, they can reach out to me at kyle@staterrasuccess.com by email. You can find me on socials at your coach, Kyle Potter, or you can hit me up through our website, which is staterrasuccess.com. I would absolutely love to work through a free complimentary operational audit for anybody listening. That's something I would love to offer to your audience. You know, that's on me. 60 minutes of my time. We'll dive deep, you know, work through the EOS organizational checkup model, and I'll send you a custom roadmap. Anybody that's listening, if you hit me up, I will do that for you. So please feel free to reach out. No commitment. We'll just see where it goes.
You heard that here first, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Potter, thank you so much for your time, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Christian.
It really has been, sir. Awesome, man. Well,
Appreciate it.
Again, I hope everyone enjoyed today's show. And as always, my friends, we will see you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.